The light of Christ is always in our lives. But in this Easter season, we have the Paschal candle here to remind us that the light of Christ is always in our lives. It's a bigger than usual candle. It's not the regular kind of candle, not even like the ones we have in the altar most of the year. It would be probably helpful if we could carry the Paschal candle around with us all the time to remind us that the light of Christ is with us. But it would be a little bit ungainly, I think, and dangerous probably as well, to carry something like that. But you know, the light of Christ is less like this in our lives, and I think very much more like this. A little votive candle. A little flame. A glow. Burning. Steady. All the time. The light of the risen Jesus in your life and in mine. You know, when you woke up this morning, the light of Christ was right by your bedside, having spent the night there watching over you. As you showered or shaved, washed your face, brushed your teeth, the light of Christ was shining on your daily morning ritual. If you've already spoken a kind word to someone today, you spoke it in the light of Christ. If you've already had an unkind thought about someone today, you thought it while standing in the light of Christ. However you spend this day, whatever you accomplish, whatever time you waste, you will do it in the light of the risen Christ. When you left your home to come here to church this afternoon, the light of Jesus jumped into your car and rode with you all the way here and came to church with you. Whatever you do today, whatever you choose not to do today, the light of Christ will illumine your deeds. Every time you smile today, the light of Christ will shine with a special joy. And should you cry today, your tears will glisten in the light of the risen Jesus. The light of Christ will shine on every conversation you have today, and in your quiet moments, it will simply glow. If you have reason to grieve today, the light of Christ will shine on you with understanding and compassion. Whether you go home for supper from here or go out to dinner, the light of Christ will be as a candle on your table. Wherever you go this evening, whatever you do, the light of Christ will light the way as the darkness comes. And when this day ends and you go to bed, the risen Christ will be your night light, keeping vigil while you sleep until you wake tomorrow morning. And all of this because Christ is the light no darkness, not even the darkness of death, can extinguish. Sometimes the darkness, the clouds are so thick that no matter how hard we strain, it seems like we just can't see the light. But we are a people who walk by faith and not by sight. Our faith is the vision we rely on when the light is hard to find. In the shadows of this world, what distinguishes us as Christians is our faith in Jesus, who promises to be with us, even and especially when we can't find him, when we don't see him, when we don't hear him. Look at the two disciples in the gospel today, grieving the loss of their friend Jesus, who died on a cross, and trying to understand what they'd heard about an empty tomb. They were walking with Jesus, but they didn't see him. They were talking to Jesus about Jesus, but they did not recognize his voice. Or turn it around, Jesus was walking with them, and they didn't see him. Jesus was talking to them, talking directly to their hearts, but they did not recognize his voice. Since you opened your eyes this morning, Jesus has been walking with you, even if you didn't see him. Since you got out of bed this morning, Jesus has been talking to you, whether you listened or not, whether you paid attention or ignored him, whether you did or didn't understand what he was saying to you, whether you recognize his voice or not, Jesus has been talking to you and me incessantly all day long. Jesus never shuts up. Never. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus missed the presence, missed the light of Jesus in the darkness of the moment, in the shadows of their grief, until he sat down with them at a table to break bread. Interestingly enough, historians and archaeologists have no certainty about where ancient Emmaus was located. They know it was on some road between Emmaus and Jerusalem, but that's all they know. We only know the name of the town where these two disciples were heading. And perhaps that's just as it should be, because the road to Emmaus is anywhere and everywhere that Jesus meets us in our daily lives, that Jesus walks with us day by day, that Jesus talks to us all day long. So the road to Emmaus is Route 126, or Route 27, Route 20. The road to Emmaus is the trip from your house to this church. The road to Emmaus is every path you walk every day of the week, because that's where the risen Jesus and his light approach you and me, walk with you and me, speak his word of truth to you and me, heals you and me, invites you and me to recognize him, even if we don't. And that's why we're here right now. That's why we come here every week. To come to listen to Jesus in the words of the scripture, and to recognize him, to see him, to know him in the breaking of the bread, where there breaks forth the light of his presence in the sacrament of his table and in the lives of the people who gather with us. Pray with me that the Spirit will deepen our faith in the light of the risen Jesus, the light no darkness, not even the darkness of death, can ever extinguish.